at this time. It's fine. And you got to remember, they did double TP, you know, from both sides.
Again.
So if Galio ever TPs, you got to bet Oriana's going to be there.
Yeah, both mid laners showing up again, and at the end of the day, McMaster University able to dive the Camille despite I thought she had a good R there to avoid some of the CC, but like you said, if Galio is going to TP, you can expect Oriana. That's both times now, both mid laners showing up in the top lane. Tells you how much focus these teams have in that lane. You want to get your Camille ahead. You want to punish the Camille, so it goes both ways here. And McMaster University coming out on top with another positive play. Almost salvaged by Gunyo there with his TP. He had a nice two-man taunt. Almost got him one. Almost got a second with some tower shots, but not quite enough. And McMaster University with a bit of a lead here.
One thing that you pointed out is if, you know, despite York having a stronger team comp going to mid game, if you know, and further on, just in ease execution, just in scaling wise, if they're on equal footing, which again they're not going to be. If Hecarim snowballs, it doesn't matter. He'll just run the game. Hecarim already has his Divine Sunderer. They're looking for a chunk under tower. Not going to be a dive because Volibear still doesn't have all. I mean, that play was not too long ago. They don't have cooldowns quite yet. But keeping this Camille out of the game. I mean, the only way they start to win this is if Camille can start creating pressure in the side lane at this point, because you have double Moonstone and Galio and Seraphine ramping up. There's, again, just more gold, you know, early Herald call, it's fine. I mean, they're not necessarily looking to dive quite yet. They're just trying to see what York does before they commit to it, because, again, they're waiting for those cooldowns.
Yeah, we see Viego is on the top side there, so is he going to stick around to protect the last bit of HP in the top lane turret, or is Volibear going to be able to chip that away? Do they want to take the 2v2, or does Viego want to continue farming?
Well, I mean, you absolutely can't take that 2v2, especially since one of the champions disables towers, right? If the tower is that low and the enemy team holds off on taking it, you know that they're waiting for that ultimate to be available. All right, she E's right out so she doesn't take the lightning strike damage, and that actually is a lot of magic damage to take, so that trade wasn't as bad.
I think she's still getting magic shields, and that tells you how much damage that E does.
Exactly, yeah. Camille's shield is based off of the majority damage dealt by the target to her or in general, and that means that she's taking, again, like you said, primarily magic damage. Looking for the QE down. So this is where you trade. You know, you see those cooldowns used, you can potentially trade. Now, obviously, the lane's too far gone at this point. She's not going to trade. Tower's gone. But if this were earlier, that's when you trade, and then you wait. And if those spells ever get used again, then you trade again. Your whole goal in that matchup is really just to get through lane phase and start ramping up. So once you get 2 items, you can start to, you know, contest Volibear in the side lane. But until then, it's like, eh.
I think Camille and Volibear both at 2 items exactly. Camille would run him down the long lane, but it's just not the story we're going to see today because Wetchamani is too good on this Volibear, and we just saw he got solo first turret gold to himself. That's like 600 plus gold in his pocket. He already has Chem Tank.
Yeah, he's going to be running fast.
He's running CDR boots for more flashes. I love that combo, and like you mentioned, Hecarim is just farming away. He is down to Viego, so I'm not sure if that's he paid the price for being on the map or if that's just
he
clear
did do a Herald,
right?
And he did sit topside a couple times to make sure the Herald crashed. He also looked for a potential dive, and they did do the dive, right?
Yeah.
So I think it kind of makes sense if Hecarim's doing Herald and calling it in topside, Viego's going to be farming an extra camp or two during that time. It makes sense.
That does make some sense. And my eyes might be on the Oriana as the new target for York University with no stopwatch as we see in Engage.
We do see Engage coming in by the Hecarim ulti actually reaches the backline. They're trying to target the Moonstone users. They actually do have double Grievous. Meanwhile, the box is denying any entry from York to the backline. Really good Shockwave gets 2. They get chunked out. Hecarim will fall down. Viego can't enter the fight. He's too low. Thresh Hook connects onto the last room, interacting member of that fight from York, and they go down as well.
Yeah, Sekiro. I think the interaction that won them the fight was Hecarim's ability to use Onslaught of Shadows through the Seraphine ulti. He's uninterruptible, so it's just a free ticket right on top of Seraphine's face. I believe he was able to run the Seraphine down and almost make it out, and just that interaction alone with McMaster's lead was enough for them to win the team fight with everybody else playing pretty appropriately. But watch the Hecarim.
There's that Shockwave followed in by Aphelios follow-up damage, and then Hook comes out here, and the last surviving member who's sadly still in the fight, Vieko, is nowhere to be found because he's too low. But it looked like there might have been some interaction in that fight. I mean, on paper, York is really far behind. They just don't have the stats to fight on equal footing. But it wasn't explosive right away. There was, engagement from both sides, and then suddenly that shockwave comes in. Felios comes in with his auto attacks, Q, ulti combination.
Welcome back to another League Saturday series. I'm your host, Holy Boxers, bringing you week.
He thrives when he does not have a killing matchup.
Or Kindred all. This is going to go over to Maad City, guaranteed. Now Venerated picking up another kill, and they're going to get this mid tower and a setup.
There's a lot of conversation going on. I'm like the lead shot.
This is Star Boner going in for more. He's getting his resets. He's getting a quadra kill.
Welcome back, everybody. Oh, it feels so good to be back in the studio here at 1Life2Play. I'm your host, Holy Boxers, and I am so sorry for abandoning you the last few weeks, but I promised you'd be in good hands, and you were. Did a great job last week, as always, and a huge shout out to Jin for coming on and guest casting for us. We love to see it. Now, League Saturday Series. We are in week 6. That means after next week, we will know which 4 teams are moving on to playoffs. Now, here are the standings. Before we go any further, I do have to let you guys know that unfortunately, York University had to make the decision to pull themselves out of the league early. We are going to miss them so much, and we hope that they can come back and join us for Season 3. Now that we've talked about that, let's move on. We want to see these teams kind of fight their way up into the top 4 like they've been doing the last few weeks. Playoffs is going to start on February 27th with one best of 5. That will continue on March 6th with another best of 5, and then our grand finals day is March 13th with our consolation match going first at 11, and then round 2 will be our grand finals match. So be ready for that. It's going to be a long and exciting day. Now, our first match of the day on stream is going to be Kent State University versus Mingos. Kent is an organized university team coming in at 3-2 today, and they were our 3rd place team in Season 1, so I know that they are ready to solidify their spot in the top 4 and even hopefully go farther than they did last season. Now, on the other side of the rift is going to be Mingos. They are 1-4, coming in at 1-4 today, but they have shown us that they can play a very good game of League of Legends. It's just up to them today to transition into that closing team that can beat Kent State University. Now, while you're in chat, I know you all have a lot of favorites, so tell me who you want to be in the top 4 or who you think is going to be in the top 4. And also, while you're in there, type !Discord in the chat to join our 1Life2Play community. You can join us on Fridays for weekly We Play, which we did last night. We played some TFT. I definitely came in first the first time, and I know Trifolge is a little salty about that. But join us. That's how you can stay connected through the Discord, discord.me/1Life2Play. Now, without further ado, to discuss our first match of the day, Kent State University and Mingos. Let's get the dynamic duo back on the desk together. Diddy and Trifolge, take it away.
Thank you so much, as always, to our wonderful host, Holy Boxers, for opening up today's show. We certainly missed that from last week. And again, shout out to Jin for filling in up here on the caster desk. I am Diddy.
And I'm Trifolge.
And Trifolge, we're looking at week 6. It's getting into the blood rounds. These teams need these wins to survive. And we're looking at Kent State versus Mingos. What are your initial thoughts going into game 1?
So something that I wanted to point out about these teams is we've seen Mingos perform really well so far in the league, but they've struggled to close out a lot of these games. We did see them go to a to game 3 against McMaster, who is doing really well so far in this league. So we know that they have what it takes to take these games and win, but they've had struggles closing them out. So I'm going to wish them the best here, because now that unfortunately York has had to pull out, it does give them a chance that if things go their way and they start to win and some other teams have some upsets, that they could be going to the playoffs for some top and being in our top 4.
And who better than Mingos for that storyline, right?
Exactly.
The comeback story, the 1-6 start, if I'm not mistaken. But you know, things happen. That's why you need to take every game seriously. And thank God these are best of threes because we have a chance for them to show that they can take down Kent State, who we haven't talked about much, but we've seen him on the LSS stage so often. We know they are one of the top teams. If you can beat them, that's a good mark for your success in this league and in others.
Oh, yeah. And as we're talking about this, we're hopping into Champ Select, and we're going to see Kent State first band taking out Olaf. What do you think about that? I mean, that's a given at this point.
It feels so good to see a live pick band. Like,
yes,
it
does.
Yeah,
hey, we told you guys.
Just
hey,
rejoice.
Teams out there who are listening, we told you better get your shit together for this pick band so we could do live draft. And what do you know? Kent State and Mingos coming out here saying, pro draft? Who needs pro draft nowadays?
Yes.
It's week 6. We got our shit locked down, and we've got all the champions, and here we are.
You'll love to see it. Thank you guys for having all champions. It's not that much to ask, but by playoffs, everybody has to. So, let's talk about some of these bans and a little bit of the meta shift. So, this Olaf ban, I think, is a little last patch.
Yeah.
Olaf got double nerfed. He got nerfed himself. Sterix got nerfed, and Goredrinker got nerfed. But Senna, that's a new face that we haven't seen in a few weeks. She has emerged with this Kraken Slayer Ginsu's Rage Blade.
And I feel
buff.
like we recently just saw in pro play Senna just going off with an insane amount of stacks, and I think that put the fear in a lot of players who follow the pro league. You know, the guys like guys in these amateur leagues who can play Senna, they watch that game, they're like, ooh, I need to win.
Yeah, exactly. So when you see it smashing on pro stage, we should talk about first. Seraphine is up, Kaisa is up, and Udyr is up. Seraphine can go mid bot and support, and it just kind of an auto win champion in the right circumstances. You have to draft a runner. You can draft in her. There's going to be some pivots that need to be made by Mingos for sure. But yeah, when you see a pick on that pro stage try, you know all the coaches, analysts, and the players are like, we can recreate that. Echo, this is a very important pick for Mingos to have. It's probably going mid. Echo is a really safe assassin. In terms of assassins, he's really safe. He can kill the Samir if it goes mid, and they are also going to get that Udyr for themselves as well. So trading power picks, Udyr for Seraphine, and grabbing the Echo that they can rely on in the mid lane.
What do you think about this Udyr? I know you have some opinions about how ridiculous this Udyr has become and how it just doesn't fit in this competitive scene, because you take a champion like that that's so easy and it's so crazy good here. It's like,
yeah.
Really, I think it's just a balance issue at this point.
Well, it's not for me to say whether a champion should be in the competitive scene or not. I heard an argument from one of our players that was very compelling that says, it's League of Legends and you're balancing the game. Why can't every champion have a chance to appear in the meta?
Yeah.
What I don't like about Udyr is just the way he basically stat checks you with move speed, and that just feels the worst of all.
Bad.
Not only the watch but experience.
Mm-hmm.
And what we saw here is pretty interesting. We see Kent State go with a Aphelios Thresh, which is a counter into Kaisa, typically at high levels. And then Mingos will still grab the Kaisa third, saying yes, that is the kill threat counter lane, but Kaisa is so strong of a champion, we're going to grab her as well. So we see Udyr and Kaisa on the side of Mingos versus the in terms of power picks, the Seraphine for Kent State.
Yeah, I think I like to see this Mingos comp here. So we were kind of talking about, okay, here's their chance to they have a chance, and they play it really well and they take these games, it looks good for them.
Yeah.
And this kind of draft so far looks great for them. We've talked about it before. Aphelios, not necessarily the most intuitive champion to pick up. I don't necessarily know if Starponer has had games on that champion, and if he's been practicing it, he very well could have. But it's a difficult champion to play. I'm going to pair up a Seraphine.
Really well, because if you getting to the point where Aphelios is 2-3 items, it can come down to if we keep Aphelios alive, we win the game, and Seraphine is great in that situation. You also have Thresh Lantern for that ability. Like, if Aphelios has 2 items, Seraphine, and Thresh is there with Lantern, he's actually a pretty insane force to be reckoned with. And I expect Starponer to have proficiency on that champion, even if he doesn't have the most practice.
Yeah.
His comfort picks is champs he goes to that are really scared for me on is like Samira would be one. He can play Lucian. And
We've seen him play a mean Jinx as well.
Yeah,
Season 1. I know that's not necessarily in the meta right now, but he does have a pretty wide champion pool, because not that but we have seen him play games in the top lane as
Oh,
well.
yeah.
So
Sure
Sharpone
have.
are a very well-rounded player here.
Definitely.
To be able to play at this competitive level in multiple roles as multiple champions, impressive. So we see that mouth pick in the top lane. That's pretty safe pick there.
Yeah.
I think it works well in their team comp. They want to. They have so much setup. How does that work out for Aphelios, where he's a little more of a stationary, turret, you could say?
So I think you nailed it when you just said it. Reliable line pick, right? So maybe don't overthink the Malphite ulti and what can it wombo with in this case. You just need something that can get tanky, can maybe hit a multi-man knockup and impact fights quickly. I don't think it's going to be like a Malphite Hecarim a full dive comp because you do have the Seraphine and Aphelios, but I think they just want Musinator on something he's comfortable with that they can rely on for that big R button when they do need it. And another interesting pick we see here is the Zillion for Mingos as an answer to the kill threat from Aphelios Thresh. It could be a game of Kaisa versus Aphelios, who can stay alive longer and who can DPS front lane. That would be front line. That would be a very fun game to watch for us, watching Aphelios shred through the Sion Udyr versus the Kaisa shredding the front line of Kent State. But if it does come down to that, because they drafted the res on the Zillion ult, that could really change the way that fights work out. So, it's really interesting.
Yeah. Sorry to cut. I just got so focused in on something. I just realized we are seeing here. I was distracted with the rest of the picks, but this is a Thresh as support, not Seraphine. Seraphine is going mid here with Kenny. So I personally think that seems like a better duo for the bot lane, as well as I know Seraphine excels in either role. So.
Oh, yeah, definitely. We saw when they locked Thresh third, we knew the Seraphine was going to go.
Yeah, it didn't click with me. I was so focused on the other picks that were coming out.
Yeah. And Echo, I believe, is a champion that can actually punish a Seraphine lane because Echo's biggest issue is getting through lane phase as a melee champion, getting into the mid-late game. But and, kill Seraphine in lane, actually. And with the Udyr flash, all you need is an Udyr flash on the Seraphine for Echo to have that kill threat, and then Echo is actually a scaling unit in himself, but the Seraphine team wants to stay together, get those AoE heals, and kind of protect the Aphelios.
Okay, I hope that it plays out like that for them. I think we've kind of said this before. I do have a little bit of bias for Kent State University.
Oh, how could
somewhat
you?
A local team. Like we said, we've met some of the players, great guys, and it's hard not to root for those guys. But I love the comeback, and I would like to see Mingos come out really strong in this game and show what true potential they have, because we've seen them play really well.
We have.
They've just struggled to close out some of these games. So I wish both these teams a lot of luck, and we're going to go ahead and hop over to a quick break as we wait for this game to load up. So don't go anywhere. We'll see you guys back in just a minute.
Can't wait. Can't wait.
Yeah. However you want to order those words.
The machine gunning.
He's out right away. Goes back in. It looks like they want to take the 2v1. Volibear does have ultimate, and Deja Vu, double TP. Nope, Galio opts not to rotate. He's not too keen on trying this one again after how the first two went.
No, we saw Camille went to use a defensive E, but it was her Viego showing up around the corner that I think made her think twice and go back in, but she exhausted her mobility cooldown. So then Volibear, Wetchamani, decides, I'll take the 1v2 because I have Hecarim as topside as well, or ETP on top of it, and we have a Deja Vu, like you mentioned, situation in the top lane where McMaster University is just there first, supporting this Volibear. And I gotta say, this Volley is really carrying the early topside. I think maybe despite his score, he's not getting the kills, but he is just a brick wall right in front of the plans of York's comp.
Now here's a replay. They do look here again, and it comes down to, the E misses. Now the play is definitely doomed. I think it was doomed to begin with, but you can't really look on the Volibear because he's too tanky. It takes too long to kill him.
Yeah.
And by the time you get him potentially low enough, McMaster's, their backup's going to be there. And they've shown throughout this game, this is the third TP in a row now, Naya play topside, that they're willing to protect that Volibear. If you're going to be looking, you need to be looking on more realistic targets. And when I say realistic, I mean squishy targets, right? Maybe give up a wave topside and hope that Camille can find a pick. I mean,
That's
they
fast.
find another kill on the Thresh here. Galio channels the ultimate to try to guarantee the kill. I don't think necessary, but if you're York, you got to
get
use
something.
everything you have at this point. You got to get what if an opportunity shows itself, you blow every cooldown you have because you need to get a footing back in this game.
That's right. And we see PM picking up his second kill on the Viego here. He has Kraken Slayer completed. You called that, right? And possibly going into a Bork here. And it might have to be a Viego 1v9 as we see Red TP coming in.
Yep. Rel is just too tanky. I'm not sure. Oh, wow. That's right. You know what? Someone told me that, yeah, Hecarim multi-dives in the backline. Not much else to be said here. They're still going. I mean, Volibear can tank these towers for days. So can Hecarim. Hecarim has a ton of healing built in. Doesn't really matter too much. But, you know, you saw the Rel actually ate a lot of bursts initially.
Yeah.
But, again, I haven't really played a Rel. But someone told me that when that shield breaks, she actually loses a lot of resistances. A lot of resistances attached to her passive ability is tied to that shield. I don't know if that's true. I haven't looked into it, but she did look like she took more damage once that shield popped.
Yeah, and it was just 3 members in the mid. So finally, McMaster, they farmed up a lead, and then they just shoved it right down mid lane. And there's no shame in just taking your Fed top and your Fed jungle and just running down Tier 1 and Tier 2 mid. That's one way to press the lead, and I didn't see anything go wrong there.
Yeah, the Orianna is huge.
Yeah.
Thing to point out. I mean, we've been seeing a lot of action from the Volibear and Hecarim, but I mean, Ori's been TPing every single time, been a part of these skirmishes, and it looks like she's been the one coming out with all the kills for the most part.
Yeah, my God, Venerated is low-key smurfing so hard. Have you seen an Ori with that KP? I mean, she's sitting at 11 of 12 here. She is acting more like a Galio than her opposition
the
in
Galio.
this game, just because of her TP. It's actually pretty crazy to see the coordination from McMaster and the usage of that mid lane TP and playing around topside has just been great.
Yeah, to York's credit, I mean, the Galio pick, I mean, he has been trying. He's been present as often as he can. He wasn't present in the most recent skirmish topside because it was doomed. But he's shown up every single time. It just hasn't gone in their favor.
Welcome back, everybody, to what is Week 6 of the League Saturday Series. We have our first bout today. Kent State University versus Mingos here, fighting to stay alive, whereas Kent State, they need to win this game to secure a spot in the top 4, so it's all on the line here.
Oh, and man, does it feel good to be back. I'm excited to watch some of this high-level gameplay of League of Legends, and I like what we see here already. We're seeing a 5-man stack in this brush right here.
That's a high-level 5 stack.
I love to see some of that that level 1 shenanigans.
Oh, yeah. Try, that's your favorite.
That's
when I know it's going to be a good game to watch when Try's already hype on the level 1 plays. We do see
level 1 plays just can really shake things up.
Oh, yeah, baby. And Sion, that's a champion you don't want to face check. So Sion is actually a champion you can go hide in bot brush. Does this ever happen to you, Try? You go hide in enemy bot brush, and as they walk in the lane, you charge a Q, all in them 3v2, level 1, and then TP back up the lane.
I have never seen that.
No?
But, whew, that's one of those plays that if I was in solo queue, it would make me go, all right, this game is fucked, and I'll just CS my lane for 40 minutes.
Yeah, that's kind of what happens. I could tell you some stories later. That's happened to some people close to me before. As we have an opposite jungle start here. Both junglers, I believe, like to full clear, and maybe it's Hecarim that wants to avoid the Udyr in the early levels.
Oh, and here we go. A hook already hitting on Zilean.
And that's a level 1 trade. So we do have a little bit of shenanigans here coming off of the blue leash. They also do know that bot lane did leash, so Udyr should be aware that he is opposite. Or I'm sorry, Hecarim should be aware that he's pathing opposite of Udyr, which is probably just according to plan for him.
Yeah, and I think Zilean already almost full HP here, but getting a pot out of that Zilean is pretty good early. That was a pretty big chunk of damage off that little trade.
In those little trades, I feel like the higher level you are, the more you can actually use a chunk trade like that in your advantage. Or the potion usage that you're talking about becomes a big deal. But as we see, nothing to come from it quite yet. And we might have a bit of a stale early game try. If you look at the jungles, where they're headed, Unless Condorex just keeps firing off these hooks and landing. Watch this Aphelios Thresh
is that going to
duo.
be it?
And the lethality, we see Condorex flashing for the auto. Now that's first blood. Star opponent with the follow-up for some damage. Kent State on the board here before 3 minutes.
Damn, Condorex just 2 for 2 on these hooks so far from what we've seen. And wow, already paying off immensely in their lane. Going to be a tough lane for Mingos here, I think. I mean, that's pretty impactful. I don't even know if Zillion did hit level 2 before that. So still, really tough position to be in.
Just really great hook by Condorex. When this guy is on a playmaking champion, he kind of is the engine of Kent State. Him and Kenny, who will be making plays in the mid to late game, but it's always Condorex when you see action going on in the bot lane. He seems to be on the money, and he does it again here in this game. And try you get to see some of the power of the Aphelios Fresh pick duo here. A lot of the reason you pick it in a Kais is because you just can't really scrap an Aphelios in the early stages, and especially with the Thresh Lantern and double CC on your support, just means that Kaisa usually had a rough go of it in the early stages.
Yeah, I just want to point out here we see Thresh and Hecarim securing that scuttle. Well, Udyr looking for a dive top lane, but you know, I think we can assume that nothing happening since Director Tool says forget about it. We got a trade going on lane.
Yeah, these two are weak side right now, so taking a bad trade while their Udyr was looking top, right? So if you're opposite side of your, you really need to be careful with how you step. If Hecarim would have ghosted down to that situation, it could have ended poorly, but Kent State backing up wisely, and they're going to have to let this wave come to them without too much damage, or they could risk getting dove when the Hecarim gets them with what he's doing.
Okay, Hecarim coming in for
I'm sorry. I thought Hecarim was enemy team. Yeah, the whole call, I thought Hecarim was there.
I was a little confused, but I said, hey, Diddy's the pro, I'm going to let it go.
No, I was completely flipped there. And we have a trade 1-for-1, so let's just talk about what's happening, not what's going to happen. Try as I got too deep in my bag there. So 1-for-1, we see the Zillion goes down. Oh, man, I'm all out of sorts. So Seraphine will drop in the mid lane. A great gank here by Adam, who, if I'm not mistaken, looks like he maybe used his flash there to take out the Seraphine. Yeah, so that whole time they had the Hecarim.
Yes.
Which completely changes things. When the Udyr is showing topside, you can go ahead and look to play 3v2. You look to take maybe a bad trade, bait and engage, something like that. Okay, and the game stabilizes just a bit, and Kent State up 1K with the kill advantage here.
All right, so we see pretty close farm for everybody here in the game. A little bit about 10 CS across a couple of the lanes, but I think that bot lane needs to be careful here because where do we? Okay, I misplaced the Udyr there for a second. So Udyr's going top. So
they have Hecarim in their lane, it looks like.
Yeah.
These junglers are even hard for us.
No, that's Thresh, and Hecarim's coming up the lane now, stopping at Krugs.
Because you can't really see, actually, like, alcove.
It's cut off by the, yeah.
So not our fault. Just kidding.
Well, actually, yes, my fault.
No, you're good. It looks beautiful. And with both junglers power farming, we could see a lull state in the game. We should maybe start talking about Drake soon, as we see that's where Hecarim is headed with Udyr.
Gonna get spotted out by the Zillion, though, here, maybe. Because it looked like he took plant over, and do they even know he's on it right now? He must have not spotted him there somehow.
And he feels unsafe to take that pink, knowing if Thresh is nearby and Hecarim is, in fact, on bot side. He does not have his Udyr. So I think what Udyr should be doing right now is invading blue side of Kent State. If they do know that
I don't think they know that they're on Drake.
Okay.
I think when Zillion went through the river there, he didn't actually spot out the Hecarim. I don't think Hecarim actually started the Drake yet, and he took plant over. So he must have been hidden in the cove of the pit, and he wasn't spotted out. So he just knew, okay, I don't know where Hecarim is, and I don't feel safe taking this pink because Udyr is top side. But we see Echo here is taking KSU's blue buff I like that play.
Yeah, so Echo's kind of doing the punish that Udyr would have done had Udyr known Hecarim was on Drake. So at least someone's going to get that blue. Good trade. And we see the delivery man showing his presence in the bot lane. You see this red wave is, pushing away from them. So it's a volatile moment in the lane, but Hecarim leaving. So the Kai Sicilian can look to crash this. I wonder if there'll be a look for a hook or a contest here.
Oh, but it's so easy for Phelios to thin out that wave.
Yeah,
and,
definitely.
All the pressure just gone right there.
And now, they kind of want to stick around and maybe go one more wave. But the Hecarim has path to top side, so I think Kai Sicilian should be safe in doing this as long as they play cautiously.
Man, that is some damage there. And
Oh,
Onyrex is just a
Lance.
maniac with these hooks.
Yeah, and we'll have to see if they go for two. Look at this Aphelios damage. The R, it looked like it got flashed, but still hit. But Kaisa still lives with 1 HP, so we see that they
so
got
close.
punished on looking for that one more wave that I was talking about. And a flash
Onyrex!
Onyrex, he just flashed and snipes the Kaisa, the only bounty in the game. This man is 3-0 on this Thresh, making plays. And just showing the strength of this Aphelios Thresh duo in the right
That
hands.
is so insane. This man is a monster with these hooks so far.
And all before Zillion can get res, you die 4 times in lane before you get that level 6 ability. When you go back and watch this game, you're going to have to ask yourself if you could have played a bit more cautious until you get that res spell.
Okay, guys, we're having a brief audio issue here, so what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and pause this game just for a few minutes. We're going to fix our issues, and then we're going to be back to finish up this match here for you guys, so don't go anywhere. Just give us a few minutes.
But it's good that Orianna is matching the Galio at every chance, and luckily it worked out for them because now it's snowballed like crazy. She's huge.
Yeah, and we are now seeing some of the reasoning behind the first pick Orianna, right? She was taken on red 1. And yeah, when you see that pick so early, you're like, yeah, it's a safe laner. You pick it blind because it's just good in every comp. But Venerated